Hello everyone, my name is Nicholas Nunez and I am the Scrum Master for the Summer 2019 EFWE team for the EFRT project, whose product owner and mentor is Dr. Masood Sajadi. And the user story that I'm going to be presenting now is EFRT-1623, the ManageTerminal Expert Advisor. So on the EFRT web application, we have a page in the admin user account for VPS management. And in the VPS management page, we have a list of terminal instances for certain users with certain Forex accounts running an expert advisor or a trading algorithm. And this user has the power to start, pause, stop, and resume the activity of this expert advisor. So last semester we had this page and the user would be able to click these buttons over here. However, nothing would happen because the code for their functionality was missing. And it was my job to implement that code. And we agreed that the best way to do it would be to create an expert advisor on MQL5. So the files involved are ManageTerminal MQ5 include directory, check any.mqh, check chart params mqh, get field, JSON, queue, and win user. All will be explained. So, like I said, this ManageTerminal Expert Advisor works with the VPS management and the EFRT web application. And on init, it's supposed to find a mismatch between the common ini and MT5 terminal. And if this discrepancy is critical, then the MT5 terminal is to shut down. And on a timer, more specifically every second, it's supposed to run commands that are read from a file called command.json, created by the run command VPS API function. If you'd like more information on the run command VPS API function, refer to the videos for EFRT-1623. These commands, of course, once again, are resume, pause, and stop. Play is the job of start terminal, which is EFRT-1625. So these commands, when they're read from the file, they're placed in a queue. This is the best data structure for it because we would like these commands to be first in, first out. And these old commands that have already been run are moved to the command log.json file. And they're removed from command.json. Command.json is only for new commands. So in the case of an erroneous command, ManageTerminal is supposed to report an error. Now, this error is reported via a call to the web API function report error. Now, let's take a look at the code. Over here, this is the main file, ManageTerminal.mq5, and it includes the queue library, it includes WinUser library. This is for the sake of key binding. More specifically, there's a shortcut Control-E on the MT5 terminal that toggles expert advisor activity. I'm sorry, more of trading activity. So expert advisors will still run, but any trading will cease. And that's exactly what we want. So Jason is a library used for the parsing of Jason. And this is going to be used actually for the web request. And I created a file called checkini. This is a function. I'm sorry, no, not a function. It's yeah, it's a function. And over here I created the queue, and I also have a string terminal instance. Now we need the terminal instance, which is obtained from the common ini file over here. Wrong file. Oh, no, this is the right file. Okay, so this is the terminal ID, we need this in order to send the errors. So on init, we read from the common ini file. So this is where we get the terminal instance, okay? This isn't the actual checking of the discrepancies. This is only to obtain the terminal instance. And over here, this is where we call the check ini function. So let's take a look at that actually. Now check ini also uses get field, and it uses get chart params. So let's take a look at this. These are the fields that we're going to be comparing. We're going to be comparing the login, the Forex login, the server, expert advisor, symbol, period. These are all going to be checked as a group. I haven't been able to find out how exactly we can specify whether it's the expert, symbol, or the period that caused the discrepancy, because they need to all be looked at simultaneously as a group. So perhaps that could be on the wish list. I do have script here, but we actually don't check for script in this function yet because scripts are loaded, they're executed very quickly and unloaded right away. So it would be hard to get the value of a script name from a chart if the script is unloaded, which it is upon starting the terminal. And we also have FTP stuff over here. The check for FTP, I personally don't think is very strong. I think that could definitely be stronger, but we'll go over that in the shortcomings video. And so over here we open the common ini file and we read line by line. And we call the get field function. So let's take a look at that over here. So so we take advantage of the fact that in my create any function, I commented the necessary fields. And I use them as a substring. And so we check to see if that line contains that substring, aka the comment. If that line contains the comment, then we're interested in it. And we want that field that follows that substring, and we want to update it with that value. So let's say we're looking for server. So we're going line by line. We get to the line with the substring account server is space. The rest of it, that's going to be our server. And we close the file, and then over here, check chart params. So this is actually where we check to see whether or not this combination is in the terminal, running in the terminal. This combination that was specified in the startup, we want to see whether or not that is in the terminal. And let's take a look at check chart params. So this was a little detour that I had to take. In the ini file, we specify the period with a string. So if we want the period to be H1, we put H1. If we want it to be D1, we put D1. The problem is that in the terminal, if we were to get the period, it would be the type enum timeframes. That's not comparable to a string. And so I had to do a switch statement. So so over here I obtain the current period. So I iterate through the charts and I obtain the current period. Since that's enum time frames, I'm going to have to convert that to a string. And so I take into account every single case. And it works like a charm. Now, these statements aren't really necessary, but it's nice when you're testing the code to see a display of the iteration of the charts. We see this in MT5. And I really want to check for script, but since the script is unloaded immediately after execution, I haven't found a way to do that. So I only check really for expert, chart, and expert, symbol, and period. And that is why script is commented out here. So if we iterate, throughout the iteration, if we find that all of these match in a chart, then there's a match and we're good. Otherwise, there's no match. And so that becomes one of the errors. So we check the chart parameters. And so first we check to see if the server matches. If the server doesn't match what's in the ini file, then incorrect server, right? Same thing with the login information. And for FTP, this is the only check. So we send the FTP to a file. This function is actually Boolean. So if this doesn't happen, then we say that there's an FTP settings error. Otherwise, there's no error. But how do we know whether or not the information is correct? Now, that's something that I think would be awesome to figure out next semester. And of course, if error message is not empty, that means there are discrepancies. And then this is the code where I do the request. So I send the terminal instance and the error message, and report error done by team EFWA sends this error info to the database. If you would like to know more information about report error, refer to the EFWA report error video. That should be in the summer 2019 EFWA playlist. Okay, so now we're done with the onInit. So also we set this event time, we do an event set timer, 1 second. So now over here, we open the command JSON file. If the line contains command, then we're interested. If that command is resume, we put in the queue resume, pause, pause, stop, stop. Yes. So if it's erroneous, then we do another web request. And what we do is we create a big string, and that goes to command log.json. And we delete command JSON. So regarding locks, MQL5 automatically locks when we open the file until we close the file. So to be honest, there is some vulnerability upon deleting command JSON over here. So this is probably another shortcoming. I couldn't find a way to lock all of this